Alright everyone, welcome back to episode 10 of Destiny Down Under. You've got Clint, Blake and Jacob. How are you going, guys?
Yeah, going well.
Going well.
That's good. We've also got a special guest with us this evening, or this morning, whenever you're listening. We have Kieran from Let's Play Games. Kieran, how are you going?
I feel wonderful, thanks, Clint. What about you?
I am excellent. We have a new set announced. We have a rules update released and a holocron released. We finally have an answer to all the degenerate stuff that's happened over the last 4 weeks, which we'll get into later. But you are the man of the hour, Kieran. So we might as well jump straight into it and ask you a few questions about your role, what you do, how you help the community in Australia, or what we can do to help you. So do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself there, Kieran?
Yeah, sure. A long time ago in 2001, myself and a guy called Chris Foggan opened up a shop called the Sydney Game Centre, and then that's morphed in 2008. We sold it to Paul and Scott. It became Good Games Burwood. From there I went, in 2008 I went and started working for Wizards of the Coast up until 2011, and then Paul and Scott, Good Games, were opening up a distribution company called Let's Play Games. They needed a sales guy, and that was me, so I started there. I fell in love with, at the time, the Game of Thrones first edition living card game, and I inquired as to Fantasy Flight as to if there was any OP. They said there was, and so I started getting into like game night kits for that, and then in I think it was October that year they released, and my memory's a little bit dodgy because it was a while ago. I think they released both Netrunner and Star Wars X-Wing, August and September of, I think it was 2011 from memory, possibly 2012. Sorry. And as it happened, FFG had organised play for X-Wing and Netrunner, so it wasn't much more of an effort to start running OP for those as well. And here we are. So, a bunch of regionals, 7 or 8 nationals every year later, and it's still going good. Games
yeah, right.
Changed.
So you've been within the industry for quite a long time then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for about 16 years.
Yeah, right. Okay, so what exactly is your role at LPG? You're just doing sales, or you're just the head of OP, or you're a jack of all trades there?
Yeah, the company's probably not quite big enough to have me just do one thing, so I look after, sales-wise, I look after stores in the ACT and in Queensland, and a few others around the place that I have just strong personal relationships with. And then, and is becoming stronger and more, my role has become to look after organised play for FFG games. They've got a lot of games, there's a lot of programs, so it's tough to keep on top of, but they're taking more and more sales roles off me and making it more of an OP thing, which is nice. I like OP.
Yeah, well, we like organised play. We like going out and winning those little pieces of plastics and those alt art cards.
It's all about bringing people together and the competition as well. That's the best thing. And the road trips. Yeah. I love road trips.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, I know some of the boys went from New South Wales down to Canberra last year for regionals. It was a bit of a road trip. Sadly, I couldn't make it for them. But it's a nice segue onto our next question. Do you have a personal relationship with FFG? Like, you've got a point of contact that you speak to regularly over in Minnesota?
No.
You don't? Oh, okay, right.
It would be Asmodee, right? Are they
distributors? Asmodee, Fantasy Flight Asmodee. They also, just FYI, they bought Z-Man Games a while ago as well. It's a very big company now. So so it's a bit complicated. We source the product and generally from Minnesota, But as far as the big juicy kind of events go, we now organise them through the European office, which is good because I've had a few phone conversations with the manager, the OP manager for Europe, who's now the international OP manager, as it happens, as of I think Wednesday last week.
Andrew, that's
not Andrew. No, a gentleman called Alex. Alex Watkins.
Started with A.
To start with A, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have recently been in sort of every other day contact with him because we've been trying to and successfully got an X-Wing system open happening, and I'm still in contact with him as it happens over that a few other things we've got to sort of follow up on. But
can we stop and just mention that real quick, because I think that's huge, right? Getting that system open now, meeting a lot of players from the US, a lot of European players and stuff as well. And I know this is a Destiny podcast, but it's super important I just think for Australia and Australian gaming going forward. Australia's actually really well known around the world as having like top class X-Wing players, like world class players. And then
I think Morgan Reed was runner-up about 3 years ago.
Right.
Apart from being a great player, he's a good ambassador for the game and a really nice guy as well. So
there's some brothers,
he helped a lot.
Voss brothers. I don't know who they are. But like everyone that I've met is always mentioned, Australian X-Wing and how strong it is. So then to get something like that is a real kind of payoff at the end. And then that sold out in 24 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is just absolutely insane. I bought a ticket. I don't play X-Wing.
You do now.
But I love these big events. You mentioned it before, like the road trips. So like before Destiny, I played Magic, and I would always travel somewhere. At least once a year, I would travel and go and play games for a weekend.
Sure.
And then something like this, it just seems so sick because I know a lot of the community here in Perth, they're really good, and they're always, saying how good the X-Wing community is overall. And I think that runs true to most of the FFG games. It seems that we have a fairly strong community. They seem to be, it's smallish, but very community-centric, and everyone's happy to help out and grow, and it's really good. So then to see something like that for X-Wing, that's kind of like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It was really nice to get that system open.
Yeah, I'm not sure had our arrangement with the American office not changed, so we swapped the European office. I'm not sure whether that would have been. It may have been happened. I don't know. It's all moot now. But moving to the European office, absolutely, those guys went absolutely bent over backwards to help us get it. And I guess we're on a Destiny podcast. They're also, because of the success of the system open, because we seem to be able to work all right together. We're trying to get other events for and bigger events for Destiny happening as well. So,
we might as well just jump in then because we had it written down for you.
Didn't actually just see me air punch.
through. So the question was, and getting into that was, we've done so well. Like for the X-Wing, you've done so well. You've got this system open. Now, if you look at a lot of these US tournaments, what pairs really well with the system open is a GQ. Is this something that perhaps is in discussions with the European head office?
Yes, it is. I'm not sure if I get shot for saying this, and also I try not to build people's hopes up. I try and under promise but over deliver. But we are. It's something that we're going to try and make happen as a qualifier. So fingers crossed it will happen. The noises.
That's why I bought my ticket. Just saying.
There you go. Oh, sorry. Just so I can be clear on that. If the system open will be a standalone event, it'll just be X-Wing only. So if there is another event, a Destiny wise, it'll be its own standalone. Well, sorry, I beg your pardon. It won't be attached to an X-Wing event at this stage. It'll be its own highlight event somewhere. So
sweet.
So we'll see.
Yeah, so that's great news that it's at least the discussion's been had, because I guess one of the other questions I had is that it's quite a well-known fact throughout the international Destiny community that Australia kind of gets forgotten about in regards to.
Yeah, I know all about that. So yeah, it's like previously it's been a little bit like swimming upstream, where we've had to sort of ask for things, and they we forget to tell them, or they forget to tell us, and nothing happens, and whatever. It's actually changing offices has helped a lot, and I think that was by design. I think the US guys said, Europe, we're too busy, you guys deal with it, and they were great. So it makes my job a bit easier. So
yeah.
So just on that again, it leads again into the next kind of thing we had planned out is Destiny moving forward. And like at this stage, it's just a discussion, and we can appreciate that. But it's a discussion being had about having another bigger event, which is great. Destiny moving forward, I'm from Perth, and we make a bit of noise, especially on the Facebook and the Discords and stuff. We put a lot into growing our community to get something as...
I think you had 17 players at Kennington the other Monday, which is was as good as any other regular tournament I've seen. So
it's really, really firing, but there's a lot of work that's gone in it. We've got Dan that works at the store. He puts a lot of work in. We've got a couple of really good ambassadors that just are always talking to people and just kind of propping it up and just pretty much picking people off the street and throwing cards at them until they have so much they have to play.
You've got the national champ as well. That's a good start.
Excuse me, back-to-back national champ.
It helps. Thanks for flying me back there again. So, is there anything kind of in talks or in motion about growing in Australia so we can get to the size of like the X-Wing community, because they're really large, right? They had a 250-man event sell out in 24 hours. I would like to be ambitious, but I don't think we're big enough. We're not that big. Certainly not. Is there anything kind of in the works or anything that you could suggest that we be doing to keep growing the game?
Yeah, so the best way that things can run is to make sure as many stores as possible stock and run the game. Just then organically it'll grow. I don't think it's a mystery. The more stores you have, stocking the games, the more chance you have of getting people interested. You've got to make the storekeepers interested in stocking it and selling it. So it's like it's either an upward spiral where the game's growing, or if people stop buying the game from that store, well, as soon as he sells his last pack, he says, "Screw that, I'm going to do something else." So the best way it's not a mystery. I can provide all the OP tools for the stores. We've got a bunch of not a bunch, but we've got some old kits left. If we're happy to ship to stores at no charge so they can have a promotional kit to run a learn to play day or something with.
Wow.
Which is a cool thing. But it's getting players to put to give the stores the impetus and the interest to run it. So that'd be the first step. Obviously having Bikini Girls demo the game on YouTube would probably help. But it couldn't hurt anyway. So
it's interesting that you say that, and just to sort of like kind of start wrapping up the interview process here. What can stores actually do to help promote this game outside of the community that goes to the store? And the only reason I bring this up is we've just recently had a very negative experience in a store-run event, which that particular store actually has no player base there anymore for whatever reason, and everyone who went to that event came from outside that area, and everyone kind of left that event with a very sour taste in their mouth because of the way it was run, because of the lack of prize support. That we all paid $25 and felt that we didn't really walk away with anything. What can you sort of suggest or recommend to stores to help promote or grow those communities within their own area, which helps the game? I mean, just as an example, like last year at Nats, there were 100 people, which was really good. But this year we barely hit 60, so we had quite a decline. just from people dropping off. Like, what can stores do to start growing that again?
The best ways to... a couple of things. Most stores have, or most stores worth their salt anyway, have web pages and Facebook pages. And if there's any other channel they use, be it Board Game Geek or Reddit or whatever, where they advertise, if they post up Learn to Play days, maybe get a regular player who's fairly charismatic, nice, respected in the store, have him come in and volunteer to demo the game to some new people. That's a good start. And like I said, I can provide some old kits for no charge to give out as candy to new players. The other thing is to run regular events. If a store advertises an event and promotes it on their usual outlets, again the Facebook page or their web page, talk to people. Word of mouth is probably the best way. Encourage people to come in. Even if they get 4 people to their first event, just run the event. Give out all the promos you got in the box. Encourage people. Report the results and then report on your media outlet what happened. Clint beat Blake in a searing final, and then Jacob came third, and someone else came fourth.
If only that would be true someday.
But just make their community aware that the game's going on, and once people know that if they turn up, and there's going to be at least another 3 or 4 people that are going to get a game. They'll turn up, and then hopefully that'll spiral, and people will see, look, okay, there's 6 people rolling dice and laughing. What are they doing? And then it'll get people's interest. And like Star Wars is well known as well. The art on the cards is beautiful. You see a lot of people like Star Wars. You see the cards; they're fantastic. People having fun. Next thing you know is, hey, look, how do I get involved? How much does a starter cost? So that'd be my advice, gentlemen.
Yeah, I like that. I also think something that we do is there's a lot of spares that go down to the stores.
Sure.
And then even prize packs, if you go down to the local, you open your prize packs. If it's something that I don't need, and same as for everyone, all the veteran players, it just gets given straight to the new players. So sometimes you pay your entry and you can go, win the local tournament and walk away with nothing, but you've given 4 packs to someone that's brand new, and they're only rares, but it's stuff that you've already got. So I think everyone should kind of get in on that. Just keep feeding them cards. That seems to be our plan, and it's working.
Well,
it's working.
The cool thing about that, guys, too, is it makes the new player you give the cards to, they suddenly feel included in the community, and and they also suddenly feel like some French, it's a friendly gesture, and if they feel wanted, welcomed in a community, also. Sorry, one last thing on that: if you are a great player and you're in a community, and someone new joins, you're probably going to win anyway. Don't smash them.
Don't play Thorn Snoke. Oh wait, you can't anymore.
but make it. You're probably going to win. Have fun. But even if you make it marginally close, do that. And hey, look, even if you lose the game, so what? You lost the newbie. So
just don't salt at them, right?
And yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of good suggestions there that as a community we can definitely take on board. There's a lot of good suggestions there that as store managers or store owners that they can get on board. I think positive prize support, actually, like going into a store, handing over your $10 or $15, whatever it costs to participate in the event, but feeling like you actually get something back. I know every time we go to Bondi, I know it costs us $15, but we actually get that money back in store credit. And even if it's not the full $15, you at least get, I think, the $10 back in store credit. So you've really effectively paid the $5 for the participation and whatever promos are going round as well.
Sure, and hopefully too you've had 3 or 4 rounds of fun. You've spent an afternoon in a shop and you've enjoyed yourself.
So that definitely, like, walking away with nothing, but you meet new people, you have a good time, and you get to just play some games is good enough. I think there still needs to be some demand for the competitive play. Because I think that's a big part of how Magic grew. is having this competitive play, but it needs to be like segregated, where maybe it's not quite big enough yet, where it's, you know, there is competitive, and then there is, you know, the guys just looking to have fun and still play well and do well. But when you when I first started gaming, I started in Magic, and you're looking at all these guys, the competitive guys doing well. For me, that was the drive to go back every week. I wanted to be up there. I wanted to be beating those guys. So I think that's something we need to manage. You know, is making sure it's good enough for the competitive guys to keep coming and to keep putting time into the community, and that does come from good prize support. It's got to be something for everyone. You know, the guy that comes last has to walk away with something, but the guy that comes first has to walk away with something, you know, that's worth his time, then it's worth grinding for and putting in the effort. And the only other thing that I really wanted to ask you, Kieran, is, and again, it's based on that, you know, the competitive nature a little bit is Tabletop Simulator. Whether you play Destiny or not, I'm sure you know about it. It's the online mod. I use that a lot to test, especially for Nats and stuff, and then I get to test with people over in New South Wales. I test with Clint, Jacob, you know, people all over the world. What's the standpoint on that behind, you know, you guys? Because I know that to get OP prize support, you have to be a brick and mortar store. I feel that TTS is one of the big things that actually kept Destiny going, because it did go through a lull period and it was quite negative for a bit. It's real good now, but I think TTS having those core players being able to still play really kept it going. So what's your standpoint on that? Like, is there a day where we maybe get some OP prize support for TTS tournaments? Because essentially it's community building, but it's building the community in the whole of Australia. And I think that's a big thing, is, you know, looking past your local store, having a nationwide community of players as the X-Wing players, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that, because, sorry to disappoint, but that's not really my call to make. That'd be someone in Fantasy Flight going, an example being Magic recently just upped the ante on their online prize support. You may have noticed. That'd be like FFG saying, this is a medium we want to embrace, we want to support, we're going to get behind it, it's the future. Okay, here's how we do it, and there's probably a mailing system for prizes or something come out. You know, one day that will probably happen, I would say. I don't know when, I don't know their thoughts, but at the moment, I've got perimeters where if you want price support, you've got to be a brick and mortar shop, and sometimes that's tough to do, because there are some people who have, like, you know, a part-time shop in a club or something, or they run stuff in a club. I can't help them. As soon as they put a sign on the door and have a table space in their shop, then I can help. But currently, I really can't do anything about that. But it's above my pay grade.
Fair. All right, so that's coming from FFG. That's like strictly FFG policy, then, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing of their price support is to drive players into stores.
Sure.
So that's their policy, and that's what we're trying to.
Sure, I can appreciate that. You know, one day we'll start with the GQ and then we'll work on that.
Yeah. Let's get the GQ first, and get those nice spot glosses into our hands, rather than having to pay the Yanks an absorbent amount of money to get them. I think, what did I pay the other day? $30 a hidden motive.
Even if we could just use your shipping channels, actually, that would be fine. So when we buy cards from the US, we don't have to pay crazy money to get them shipped here.
I can tell you one thing with what I learned from the System Open is the FFG guys, expenses wasn't a problem. Money was a secondary consideration to running a good event. Hopefully that's their motto, because if that is their motto, then hopefully we will get a GQ. It will be as good as any other one in the world, and they won't. So, like, you know, they won't try and scrimp and save. They'll do it properly, and I sincerely hope that is the case.
I hope even if, like, we start off with one galactic qualifier, and whether it's in Melbourne or Perth or Sydney or Brisbane, I'm sure the appeal of that. I reckon we'd probably get more people at a galactic qualifier than we did at Nats.
Where would be the best city to have it, by the way? Where do you guys think?
Perth.
Oh, I think
everyone likes us.
Yeah, everyone likes you, but no one wants to
Not me,
spend like
just
$1,000 to get to Perth. No, I think either Sydney or Melbourne is probably the most recognisable locations, even though the people up in Brisbane will probably chastise me for saying that. But I think
it's cheaper to fly to those places.
Yeah, and you've got PAX down in Melbourne as well, which would be easy enough to run an event, a Galactic Qualifier down at PAX.
Right. We just, without poo-pooing that, with PAX, there's the small issue is they don't like charging people for events inside PAX, and so that could make it hard to do. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but whilst money, like I said, money wasn't a problem, they do use some of the money they generate from the event to recoup, airfares for guys flying from Europe or shipping out prize support and that type of stuff. So just FYI,
I have a feeling Cascade Games this year, they're actually running a lot of the Galactic Qualifiers outside of the event, so they're on the same weekend as those major conventions, but they're at a venue across the road, so they're not having to double pay for everything.
That seems to be pretty smart. If they can get the venue across the road at the right price, that seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks very much for your time, Kieran. We really appreciate your insight into organised play in Australia. We're really happy to hear that that things are moving forward, especially now that you're dealing directly with the European arm of Asmodee, and hopefully we've got some good things coming for 2019.
Fingers crossed. I hope I don't disappoint. We'll do our best, and
we won't we won't hold a gun to your head. Maybe. No worries. Thanks very much, Kieran.
Kieran, thanks. Cheers, Kieran. Thanks a bunch. Thanks, mate.
All right. So how about that? Potentially Galactic Qualifiers next year.
Oh yeah. Don't say too much. He's still here.
He's gone. He's gone now. Don't worry about
it. But seriously, like, for everyone that gives him grief, he sounds like a one-man band doing quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, there was this store champ that happened or whatever. It's one man doing a lot of work. And I don't even think it was all him. There is explanations. And he was quite vocal. He'd come out and he was on Facebook and he was letting everyone know. And now he's moving forward. He's telling people about the events that are happening. This is released. Get your store onto it. So I think, we should show Kieran some gratitude, because it does sound like he is doing quite a lot as a one-man band. And then, if he's in a good mood, he will upgrade my flights to first class. All right, moving on.